Hey folks, it's Will, and today you get the opportunity to learn about two of the Natural One factions within the Sequoia Wastes. That is the Proude and the Lost Wolves. Now, take a second, listen, and if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, or you can send them to us on our social media. These are some really fun groups, and I'm looking forward to telling stories with them this season. So thanks for listening, and enjoy. Now, who are the Proude? Well, if you've looked through our material or been to our events, you might know them as the folks in the marching band uniforms. Now, it's a little more complicated than that, but a good way of understanding them is through this quote. Our faith is in our composition, our strength in our formations. And that's from Piccolo Udwin, a dun major of the Sousa band of the Proude. Now, you might already be detecting themes. The Proude have a long tradition of martial excellence and paired with a good sense of rhythm. Their history states that they are descended from a group of mythical soldier musicians that existed before the fall of humanity. Their outfits are often a combination of pre-fall military clothing and heavily worn bits of marching band attire. They tend to organize themselves into bands and take orders from their dun major. Members of the Proude are predominantly members of the virtues of the king's court. Now, the Proude have been a presence in Verdigris Gardens since our grifters came to town. Initially, they were somewhat suspicious of these folks, which is pretty on point for folks that are insular, like the Proude and other natural ones. But as this relationship evolved and as they worked together through various challenges, the Proude came to open up more to the grifters and various denizens of Verdigris Gardens. Now, what's happened is that over the years, it's become more and more obvious that the Proude are only part of a larger society, a larger culture. The Proude that people often see campaigning or on tour, as they like to call it, are the psionically active members of their community. Every person that is a part of the Proude is a part of the Proude that's on tour because they are scions and they know the stigma that is associated with sticking around your town while you are psionically active. They know the threat, the stigma associated with people that hang around, because it's widely believed that people who are psionically active are, for some reason, more zombies show up, more grave mind disturbances happen. So in the Proude, as soon as someone is determined to be psionically active, they go on tour. And you go on tour as long as you want to keep your psionic powers. Now, some people want them to go away immediately because they see it as a burden they're not interested in carrying. But other people will do, multiple tours to kind of develop the skill. And ultimately, if a member of the Proude survives long enough, they get to, do their 20. Now, what that means is they are able to basically retire from touring and go home. There is a Proude ritual, observance, what have you, where everyone that is about to, put in their 20 and finish being psionically active goes through this celebration of what has been done. Now, usually it's a weekend full of joy for these people because they're about to get to go home. They're about to get to see their families. Because very often when these people are on tour, their families might be able to meet them on the road or in various towns that are away from the Proude homelands, which the location of which is a closely guarded secret. But the life of being on tour is something that is a constant stress to members of the Proude. Now, this doesn't detract from what they are doing. The Proude know that their presence agitates the grave mind, and because there's so many, like every single member that is on tour is psionically active, and this is something that they know is a problem. So they're always on the move because they don't want that residual energy to build up and be a problem for anyone. Once they made a deal with Verdigriff Gardens, and they thought that they could stay moving enough around the perimeter that they could help, but that wound up not being the case. And for the Proude, that hit home, so they went on the road again. The most recent developments for the Proude has been their new acceptance of psionically gifted outsiders, people that aren't natural ones. They understand that the gift and burden of psychic ability can be a lot for people. So what they do, or what has happened in this previous season, is they opened their enrollment to any who wished to join. And a great many did. There were psionically active people from a variety of factions and just, locals to Verdigriff Gardens who decided that they wanted to contribute to, being heroes of the waste. And they did. And for a while, they during this gap where this 3 years that have passed, they resisted the final nights and helped deal with all of the Shiverwind experiments that were still wandering the wastes. And then in the second year, when the final nights were, put on clearance and had their accounts liquidated, the Proude stepped up their game and went on the offensive. Now, this means that their numbers have been depleted, and they are not this impressive, world-spanning martial force that they once were. They're a bit more cosmopolitan now. They still embrace the marching band uniforms, the paramilitary attire, and the Dun Major structure, but they've done a lot to make sure that people were safe, and that cost them. people interested in playing Proude should be aware that the last 3 years have been hard, because there are lots of challenges and sacrifices that were made by the people who went on the road, and not all of them got to make it home. So that's the Proude. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any details that you think I missed out or you would like to have expanded upon, feel free to let me know, and I will get those details out there. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the wasteland. Hey, so I had another Natural One group I wanted to share with you, and it's the Lost Wolves. Now, the Lost Wolves were previously known as the Bloodied Wolves, and they were a Latin-speaking group of natural ones that were kind of kept to themselves and avoided folks and did all the super stereotypical natural one things. One of the things that is not super stereotypical about them is they tend to travel in packs of threes. More than three is excessive. Less than three is asking to just die. They have an elaborate an elaborate but functional sense of internal government. But the big deal is that 8 to 10 years ago, there's an unknown disaster that claimed them, and it was, fairly certain that all of these people had perished forever. There were members that were scattered, and some of those people you've seen in play, or you might meet as player characters. But by and large, there were no extras out in the wasteland that had the Bloodied Wolf culture. Hence the Lost Wolves title. So what happened? Nobody knows for certain, but the first reappearance of any of the Bloodied Wolves was when a number of them were discovered among the cult of Valenclaws, which was to put it plainly, was a scam run by someone who had figured out that this monster could influence the behavior of people that would come near it. And they basically formed a little cult around themselves until it, all exploded in their face. And at that point, several Bloodied Wolves, now Lost Wolves, kind of regained their senses and started to rejoin the world. Now, since then, they have gone quiet, and there are rumors of more and more Latin-speaking natural ones that have been popping up, with dark red, bone white, and charcoal markings, which is something that previously was identified as a characteristic of the Bloodied Wolves. Sometimes these people identify themselves as Lost Wolves, and I would say that it's uncertain if these people are connected, but there's absolutely some sort of connection. But we don't, at present, know where they're coming from. But somehow, these people are starting to appear back in the wasteland, and that's definitely something worth checking out.